Hey everybody, today is day 9 of the challenge, and it's also the day for the rest of the story. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much. You guys have been so supportive, so sweet in your comments, so encouraging, and it really does help me to keep going and feel really good about sharing my truth. So remember yesterday when I told you the words of my friend from Australia, Karen, were very important when she said, "Don't muck about, Vivian. Don't mess around." And that's important because today, a year ago, I went to the hospital. I woke up in the morning and I was feeling really out of it. I mean, I couldn't really wake up. It was very concerning, and I could tell that I wasn't waking up, and I was kind of going in and out, and I would try to like wake up, and then I would doze off, and I knew I was in trouble. That's what came to my mind. I thought, I'm in trouble. And my friend Patty had called me, and I was talking to her, and I really need to ask her what the heck, because all I know is I got off the phone with her and bam, my 2 sons were standing right there in my room in front of me with looks of kind of like this, looking at me with big eyes and I was like, where'd you guys come from? And they were my caretakers, by the way, when I was sick. In fact, I wanted to share with you this really sweet story. I call him Little Chris. He's 6'3", but he's my baby, so he's still little to me. And all I wanted was orange juice. That was the only thing that tasted good and sounded good to me. So I was surviving on about 4 ounces of hand-squeezed orange juice. And he was so sweet. He squeezed orange juice for me every day. And he'd come in the morning and go, "Mom, you want your orange juice?" And I'm like, mm-hmm. And he'd come in, and sometimes it would take me all day to just drink the 4 ounces. But my boys, what do you say about your children when they're taking care of you? Anyway, I couldn't quite wake up, and I knew I was in trouble. And my boys are standing there looking at me. Patty must have said, "You need to go in to get your mother. She needs to go to the hospital." And they said, "Mom, you think you need to go to the hospital?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I do." And then, of course, I started worrying, how am I going to get to the hospital? By this point, I'd been laying in bed for 8 days, and it is unbelievable how fast your muscles atrophy. I could barely stand up. I could barely walk. I had no strength whatsoever. I thought, oh, how are you guys gonna get me to the car? And they're like, "Mom, don't worry, we'll get you there." And I had on my PJs. I don't even know the last time I had bathed. I was a red hot mess, and I didn't care. We just grabbed my purse, and they flanked me on either side, and they got me downstairs, got me into the car, and we went to the hospital. And I was expecting the waiting room to be absolutely jam-packed with people, that in my mind, everybody must be sick. And I go, and of course, I was sick when the world shut down, so I had no concept of what that looked like. And we walk into the lobby of the emergency room, and there's nobody in there. Nobody in the waiting room. There's one person behind the desk. There's another desk with another person, and there's a security guard. There's literally 3 people in the emergency room at a major hospital. And that really took me aback. And the first thing they said was, only one of you can be here. One of you has to leave. And they were talking to my sons. And the boys were looking at each other, and they made the decision of who stayed by whose phone was charged the most. And that was Chris's phone. This is the hard part, guys. And so Ben had to leave. And I was already put in a wheelchair because I was so weak. And I didn't have time to look behind me. I didn't have time to hug him goodbye. And that could have been the last time I saw him and he saw me. I think back on that and just tragic. And I think of all those families and all those people dying by themselves. Anyway, so Chris, they told me at first that Chris could come back with me, and then they changed their mind. And so I never got to see Chris again either. And they took me to the back, and they put me in this room, and they were very suspicious that I had COVID. They took a chest x-ray, and sure enough, I had all white in my lungs, and they said, we're going to admit you to the isolation ward. And as soon as it was ready, they took me up. When I was on the gurney, and I looked around and I saw this huge sign on the door, COVID-19, and I felt like I had a scarlet letter on me. I was just like, don't touch her. And for the next 5 days, all I saw were eyes. This is all I saw. Strangers' eyes. But God bless them. It was so early on, nobody knew how bad it was. And here are these brave souls doing their job. I was taken up to a room and there was an antechamber. And I could hear them suiting up just to walk in. And just think of the bravery that takes. They didn't know I had COVID, but they tested me for COVID because it was the hospital. And all they did was give me oxygen. And I don't know what else. I can't remember. But my sweet daughter lives in Boston. She was running the show from Boston, and she called every day. She was reading all the articles, and she was on the East Coast, so they were ahead of things there. And she would call the doctor every day. Okay, you need to give her vitamin D. You need to give her vitamin C. You need to give her this. You need to give her that. And sure enough, every day I got more things given to me. And she was FaceTiming me 2 or 3 times a day. And had to have that really hard conversation. I had to tell her where everything was and what my passwords, where to find my passwords, and we would cry together. And I was all by myself in that room for hours at a time. That's the first time I've been to a hospital where I actually got some rest. And the nurses would come in and do their job as fast as they could, and they'd leave. Except this one nurse. Now get this. This is cool. This one nurse, his name was Chris. Just like my Chris. And it turns out he's my neighbor. He lives on the same street. And he actually pulled up a chair And he sat with me and we talked. We talked about his remodeling his house and, just stupid stuff, but he took the time to be with me. He was the only human that I had any contact with. And he only had 2 shifts while I was there, but both times he took the time. Those little things are so important. They are so important. Don't ever forget the little things. Just the time and the kindness. Oh, man. Okay, so this is the really cool part. On the 3rd day, I woke up. And the minute I woke up, I knew I was going to get better. I could just feel it. And that love I told you about yesterday? That love was swirling around in my room. The energy, the vibration of love was everywhere. And I just smiled. It was tangible. And I knew by this time word had spread that I was sick and I was in the hospital. And I knew that love was the love from all my friends, my family. And it was in that room with me. It was the most amazing thing. It was, oh my gosh, again, I don't have words, but I just knew it. I felt it in my soul and my being, and it lifted me up. Sorry, this. And that really solidified for me that love is the highest vibration. It's the highest form of energy, and it does travel. It travels through everything. And that's what made me better. I'm convinced. The prayers, the vibrations, the energy, the whatever it is for you, it makes a difference. It really makes a difference. And that kind of ties into what I was saying yesterday. We have the capacity within all of us to make a huge difference by how we think, by how we feel, by what we do. It makes a difference. The other last thought I want to share with you. There has been a lot of death the last year, an incredible amount of death, and not just with COVID. And in our society, in American society anyway, we do everything we can not to look at death. And that is such a mistake. Because without looking at death and really knowing that it's a process, it's not like the movies. You're not just talking 1 second and then I've watched a lot of people die. My husband, my father, my mother, my aunt, my former father-in-law. I've seen a lot of people die. It's not pretty. It's it's a icky, stinky process. And our bodies shut down, and they shut down slowly. And we have managed to remove ourselves from that and not look at it and not pay attention to the beauty of it. Because, guys, we're all going to die. At some point, something's going to take us. And to pretend like we're not, or to ignore it, or put it in the back of our heads and just not look at it, is shutting off a really integral part of ourselves. And it keeps us from living fully. Without this experience of being so sick and having to really look at, I might die. This might be it. That's why it has changed my life. I am grabbing life with both hands, and I am holding on. I am just so grateful. I can't tell you how grateful I am for this experience. I look at everything so differently. I look at the beauty in everything because it's there. The gifts in everything because they're there. If we just choose to really see them and embrace them and enjoy them, because that's what we're meant to do. We're supposed to live our lives full out, completely 100% invested. And it shouldn't take a catastrophic event to make us see that. And that is why I am dedicated, motivated, committed to sharing my message so that you can know this truth without having to go to the hospital and almost die. I want to say thank you again to all the people who love me, care about me, sort of like me, whatever. I want to thank you so much for the love you sent me. It made all the difference. And don't stop caring about your family, your friends, and most importantly, yourselves. Love yourselves like that too. All right, that's it. That's my story. I love you all, and I will be back tomorrow with Sunday Snippets.